Brianca Jay, and we're changing it a little bit. Today, instead of reviewing the story, I'm actually gonna read you a story. So, let's get right into it. I picked the story from Zora Neale Hurston's Hitting a Straight Lick with a Crooked Stick. If you don't know about Zora Neale Hurston, I absolutely love her. She is one of the founding members of the Harlem Renaissance and one of the sole women to be a celebrated writer in this time. And this is a collection of all her short stories. And today I'm going to actually choose one called Icy. The story is called Drenched in Light. You icy Watts, get down off of that gatepost and rake up this yard. The little brown figure perched upon the gatepost looked yearningly at the gleaming shell road that led to Orlando, and down that led to Sanford, and shrugged her thin shoulders. This heaped kindling on Grandpa Pot's already burning ire. "Lord of mustard," she screamed, enraged. "Hell, Joe, give me that watch stick. I'll show that little Mercedes she can't shake herself at me. If she ain't down by the time I get there, I'll break her down these lines." "Ah, Grandma, I see Mr. George and Jim Robinson coming, and I wanted to wave at him," the child said petulantly. "You just wave that rake at this here yard, madam, else I'll take you down the bottom hole lower. Used to Umadish jumping up into everybody's face that passed." This struck the child in a very sore spot, for nothing pleased her so much as to sit atop of the gate and hail the passing vehicles on their way south to Orlando or north to Sanford. That white shell road was her great attraction. She raced up and down the stretch of it that lay before her gate like a round-eyed puppy, hailing gleefully all travelers. Everybody in the country, white and colored, knew little Icy Watts the Joyful. The Robinson brothers, white cattlemen, were particularly fond of her and always extended a stirrup for her to climb up behind one of them for a short ride, or let her try to crack the long bullwhips and yee-hoo at the cows. Grandma Potts went inside, and Isis literally waved the rake at the chaws of ribbon cane that lay so bountifully about the yard, in company with the knots and peelings, with a thick sprinkling of peanut hulls. The herd of cattle in their envelope of gray dust came alongside, and Icy dashed out the nearest stirrup that was lifted up. "Hello there, Sidlets. I was wondering where you was," said Jim Robinson, as he snuggled behind us in the saddle. They were almost out of the danger zone when Grandma emerged. "You Icy!" she bawled. The child slid down on the opposite side of the house and executed a flank movement through the corn patch that brought her into the yard from behind the privy. "You little Haitian, you! Where you been?" "Out in the backyard," Icy lied, and did a cartwheel and a few fancy steps on her way to the front again. "If you don't get to that yard, I'll make a mummick of you." Icy observed that Grandma was cutting a fancy assortment of switches from peach, guana, and cherry trees. She finished the yard by raking everything under the edge of the porch and began a romp with the dogs, those lean, floppy-eared coon hounds that all country folk keep. But Grandma vetoed this also. "I see you sat on that porch. A great big living, your old gal, racing and romping like that. Sit on." Isis impatiently flung herself upon the steps. "Get off of them steps, you aggravating limb, before I get them hickories to you and set you off of here." Isis petulantly rose and sat down as violently as possible in a chair, but slid down until she all but sat upon her shoulder blades. "Now look at you," Grandma screamed. "Put your knees together and get up on off of your backbone. Lord, you know this hellion gonna make me stomp her insides out." Isis sat bolt right up, if she wore a ramrod down her back, and began to whistle. Now, there are certain things that Grandma Potts felt no one of this female persuasion should do. One was to sit with the knees separated. "Setting brazzing," she called it. Another was whistling. Another playing with boys. Neither must the lady cross her legs. Up she jumped from her seat to get the switches. "So you's whistling in my face, huh?" She glared till her eyes were beady, and Isis bolted for safety. But the noon hour brought John Watts, the widowed father, and this excused the child from sitting for criticism. Being the only girl in the family, of course she must wash the dishes, which she did in intervals, between frolics with the dogs. She even gave Jake, the puppy, a swim in the dishpan by holding him suspended above the water that reeked of pot liquor, just high enough so that his feet would be immersed. The deluded puppy swam and swam without ever crossing the pan, much to his annoyance. Hearing Grandma, she hurriedly dropped him on the floor, where she trapped him with feet wet with dishwater. Grandma took her patchen and settled down in the front room to sew. She did this every afternoon and invariably slept in the big red rocker with her head lolled back over the back, the sewing falling from her hand. Isis had crawled under the center table with its red plush cover with little round balls of fringe. She was lying on her back, imagining herself various personages. She wore trailing robes, golden flippers with blue bottoms. She rode white horses with flaring pink nostrils in the horizon, for she still believed that to be Land's End. She was picturing herself gazing over the edge of the world into the abyss when the spool of cotton fell from Grandma's lap and rolled away under the whatnot. Isis drew back from her contemplation of the nothingness at the horizon and glanced up at the sleeping woman. Her head had fallen back. She breathed with a regular snark, intake, and soft exhaust. But Isis was a visual-minded child. She heard the snores only subconsciously, but she saw a straggling beard on Grandma's chin, trembling a little with every and there were long gray hairs, curled here and there against the dark brown skin. Isis was moved with pity for her grandmother's. "Poor Grandma needs to shave," she murmured, and set about it. Just then Joel, next older than Isis, entered with a can of bait. "Come on, Isis, let's we all go fishing. The perch is biting fine in Blue Sink." "Shh," cautioned his sister. "I got to shave Grandma." "Who say so?" Joel asked, surprised. "Nobody don't have to tell me. Look at her chin. No ladies don't wear no whiskers if they can help it. But Grandma getting old and she don't know how to shave like me." The conference adjourned to the back porch and let Grandma wake. Icy, you don't know nothing about shaving at all, but a man like me? I do know so." "No, you don't. I'm going to shave it myself." "Nah, you won't neither, smarty." "I saw her first and thought it all up first," Isis declared, and ran to the calico-covered box on the wall above the wash basin and seized her father's razor. Joel was quick and seized the mug and brush. "Now," Isis cried defiantly, "I got the razor." "Goody, goody, goody, pussycat. I got the brush, and you can't shave without the lather, see?" "I know more than you," Joel retorted. Who don't know that?" Isis pretended to scorn. But seeing her progress blocked for lack of lather, she compromised. "I know. Let's we all shave her. You lather and I shave." This was agreeable to Joel. He made mountains of lather and anointed his own chin and the chin of Isis and the dogs, splashed the walls, and at last was persuaded to lather Grandma's chin. Not that he was loath, but he wanted his new plaything to last as long as possible. Isis stood on one side of the chair with the razor clutched cleaver fashion. The niceties of razor handling had been passed over her head. The thing with her was to hold the razor, sufficient in itself. Joel splashed on the lather in great sobs, and Grandma awoke. For one bewildered moment, she stared at the grinning boy with the brush and mug bits, but sensing another presence, she turned to behold the business face of Isis and the razor clutching hand. Her jaw dropped, and Grandma, forgetting years and rheumatism, bolted up from the chair and fled down the house screaming. "She gonna tell Papa, Icy. You don't have no business with his razor, and he gonna lick your hide," Joel cried, running to replace mug and brush. "You too, chucklehead, you too," retorted retorted Isis. "You was playing with his brush and put it all over the dogs, and I seen you put it on Nita Beulah." Isis shaved some slivers from the door jamb with the razor and placed it in the box. Joel took his baiting pole and hurried to Blue Sink. Isis crawled under the house to brood over the whooping she knew would come. She had meant well. But sounding brass and tinkling cymbal drew her forth. The local lodge of the Grand United Order of Old Fellows, led by a braying, thudding band, was marching in full regalia down the road. She had forgotten the barbecue and long rolling to be held for the benefit of the new hall. Music to Isis meant motion. In a minute, razor and whipping forgotten, she was doing a fair imitation of the Spanish dancer she had seen in a medicine show from time before. Isis' feet were gifted. She could dance most anything she saw. Up went her spirits, her brown little feet doing all sorts of intricate things, and her body in rhythm, hand curving above her head, but the music was growing faint. Grandma nowhere in sight. She stole out of the gate, running and dancing after the band. Then she stopped. She couldn't dance at the carnival. Her dress was torn and dirty. She picked a long stem daisy and thrust it behind her ear, but the dress no better. Oh, an idea. And the battered round top trunk in the bedroom. She raced back to the house then, happier, raced down the white dusty road to the picnic grove, gorgeously clad. People laughed good-naturedly at her. The band played and Isis danced because she couldn't help it. A crowd of children gathered, admiringly about her as she wheeled lightly about, hand on hip, flower between her teeth with the red and white fringe of the tablecloth. Grandma's new red tablecloth that she wore in lieu of a Spanish shawl, trailing in the dust. It was too ample for her meager form, but she wore it like a gypsy. Her brown feet twinkled in and out of the fringe. Some grown people joined the children about her. The grand exalted ruler rose to speak. The band was hushed, but Isis danced on, the crowd clapping their hands for her. No one listened to the exalted one, for little by little the multitude had surrounded the brown dancer. An automobile drove up to the crown and halted. Two white men and a lady got out and pushed into the crowd, suppressing mirth discreetly behind gloved hands. Isis looked up and waved them a magnificent hail and went on dancing until Grandma had returned to the house and missed Isis and straightway sought her at the festivities, expecting to find her in her soiled dress, shoeless, gaping at the crowd. But what she saw drove her frantic. Here was her granddaughter dancing before a gaping crowd in her brand new red tablecloth and reeking of lemon extract. For Isis had added the final touch to her costume. She must have perfume. Isis saw Grandma and bolted. She heard her cry, "My God, my brand new tablecloth. I just bought from Orlando," as she fled through the crowd on into the woods. Isis finna get her ass whooped, y'all. Let's see, part 2. She followed the little creek until she came to ford in a ruddy wagon that led to Apoka and lay down on the cool grass at the roadside. The April sun was quite hot. Misery, and woe settled upon her, and the child wept. She knew another whipping was in store for her. Oh, I wish I could die. Then Grandma and Papa would be sorry they beat me so much. I believe I'll run away and never go home no more. I'm gonna drown myself in the creek. Her woe grew attractive. Isis got up and waded into the water. She routed out a tiny gator and a huge bullfrog. She splashed and sang, enjoying herself immensely. The purr of a motor struck her ear and she saw a large, powerful car jolting along the ruddy road toward her. It stopped at the water's edge. "Well, I declare, it's our little gypsy," explained the man in the wheel. "What are you doing here now?" "I'm killing myself," Isis declared dramatically, "'cause Grandma beats me too much." There was a hearty burst of laughter from the machine. You'll last some time the way you're going about it. Is this the way to Maitland? We're going back to the Park Hotel. Isis no longer saw any reason to die. She came up off the water, holding up the dripping fringe of the tablecloth. Nah, indeedy. You go to Maitland by the Shield Road. It goes by my house. And turn off at Lake Sibylla into the clay road that takes you right to the dew. Well, went on the driver, smiling furiously, could you quit dying long enough to go with us? Yes, sir, she said thoughtfully. I want to go with you. The door of the car swung open. She was invited to a seat beside the driver. She had often dreamed of riding in one of these heavenly chariots, but never thought she would actually. Jump in then, Madam Tragedy, and show us. We lost ourselves after we left the barbecue. During the drive, Isis explained to the kind lady who smelled faintly of violets and to the indifferent men that she was really a princess. She told them about her trips to the horizon, about the trailing gowns, the gold shoes with blue bottoms. She insisted on the blue bottoms. The white charger, the time when she was Hercules and had slain numerous dragons and sundry giants. At last the car approached her gate, over which she stood with the umbrella chinaberry tree. The car was abreast of the gate and had all the paths when Grandma spied her glorious tablecloth lying back against the upholstery of the Packard. You icy, she bawled. You little wretch, you. Come here this instant. That's me, the child confessed, mortified to the lady on the right. Oh, Sewell, stop the car. This is where the child lives. I hate to give her up, though. Do you want to keep me? Icy brightened. Oh, I wish I could. You shiny little morsel. Wait, I'll try to save you a whipping this time. She dismounted with the gaudy lemon-flavored culprit and advanced to the gate where Grandma stood glowering, switches in hand. You going to catch it from your head to your heels, my lady. Just come on in here. Why, good afternoon, she accosted the furious grandparent. You're not going to whip this poor little thing, are you? The lady asked in conciliatory tones. Yes, ma'am. She the wussest little limb that ever dropped breath. Just look at my new tablecloth. That ain't never even been washed. She done trampeded all over the woods, a dancing and a prancing in it. She done took a razor to me today, and Lord knows what more. Isis clung to the white hand fearfully. I wasn't gonna hurt Grandma, miss. I was just gonna shave her whiskers for her, 'cause she old and she can't. The white hand closed tightly over the little brown one that was quite soiled. She could understand a voluntary act of love, even though it was miscarried. Now, Miss, I didn't get the name. How much did your tablecloth cost? One whole big silver dollar down at Orlando. Ain't had a week yet. Now here's $5 to get another one. The little thing loves laughter. I want her to go to the hotel and dance in that tablecloth for me. I can stand a little light today. Oh, yes'm, Grandma cut in. Everything's all right. She can go, yes'm. The lady went on. I want Bryce's. And this Isis is joy itself. Why, she's drenched in light. Isis, for the first time in her life, felt appreciated and danced up and down in an ecstasy of joy for a minute. Now behave yourself, Icy, over at the hotel with the white folks, Grandma cautioned, pride in her voice, though she strove to hide it. Lord, ma'am, that gal keeps me so fracas. I don't know my head from my feet. I ought to comb my head too before she go with y'all. No, don't bother. I like her as she is. I don't think she'd like it either, being combed and scrubbed. Come on, Isis. Feeling that Grandma had been somewhat squelched did not detract from Isis' spirit at all. She pranced over to the waiting motor and this time seated herself on the rear seat between the sweet, smiling lady and the rather aloof man in gray. I'm going to stay with y'all, she said with a great deal of warmth. and snuggled up to her benefactress. Want me to sing a song for you? There, Helen, you've been adopted, said the man with a short, harsh laugh. Oh, I hope so, Harry. She put an arm about the red draped figure at her side and drew it close until she felt the warm puffs of the child's breath against her side. She looked hungrily ahead of her and spoke into space rather than to anyone in the car. I want a little of her sunshine to soak into my soul. I need it. That was A Drench of Light by Zora Neale Hurston, and it is from her collection of short stories, Hitting a Straight Lick with the Crooked Stick. You catch this at pretty much any bookstore, or yeah, you'll find it, Amazon. I hope you enjoyed it, and catch me next time. If you like it, go ahead, follow, share it, subscribe, comment. You know the jazz. You know what to do. Love and light, guys.